Despite the fact that appearing in only one of the two post-credit scenes of the Eternals movie, the Black Knight is quite a force to be reckoned with, a character that can bring with him that King Arthur vibe to the MCU, and the one who is ready to make his first strides as one of the most crucial characters of the MCU's future. Pretty soon, much like how the DCEU will have a Dark Knight, the MCU will have a Black Knight. Not many of you know him, but he goes by the name of Dane Whitman. He is one of the longest-running characters from Marvel who made his debut in the Marvel Comics way back in the 1960s, who was even a part of the Avengers team at one point, and was leading the team as well. He is the heir of an in-story legacy dating back to the time of King Arthur, a tenured superhero who predates Marvel Comics before eventually becoming part of them. Even the information we have given so far proves that he is not your regular kind of guy, despite the fact that not many of you know him by now. And before we move forward with his endeavors in the MCU, judging by the fact that he is one big unknown superhero to many of you, we thought that it would be a good thing to make a proper introduction to this infamous character that we've hyped up right from the start. Debuting in 1967, Dane Whitman presented himself as a human super scientist who, before becoming the Black Knight, was working on a series of experiments from which he tried to atone the power of his uncle Nathan Garrett, the previous bearer of the Black Knight mantle. And despite Garrett being on the more villainous side of things and a member of the original Masters of Evil, Whitman vowed to return the mantle of the superhero to its heroic origins, all with the help of the so-called Ebony Blade, a sword created by Merlin in the era of Camelot. Only being able to be wielded by those with pure heart, the Ebony Blade came with tremendous but corrupted power. Dane Whitman, together with his horse named Aragorn, made a name for himself as one of the most powerful Black Knight mantle bearers of all time. And even though many suspected about his true intentions, Dane always stayed true to his statement of doing good deeds with the power given to him. Dane Whitman will be played by Kit Harington in the MCU, who was seen getting close to the Ebony Blade in a post-credit scene, a scene that paves the way for a future appearance of the character. And taking into consideration all of the connections Dane Whitman has with some of the other characters already a part of the MCU, we are not surprised at all of him making an appearance in the future projects of the MCU. His comics debut is connected with the X-Men, thus we understand why he has not shown up until now, knowing that the mutants are the next big thing of the MCU. As we said before, Black Knight's legacy runs through the history of the Marvel Universe, all the way back to the time of Camelot and King Arthur, and with the Eternals tied to the mystical side of things, we may be going to see the transition of Dane Whitman into the Black Knight in his next outing, him taking the Ebony Blade, which will eventually open a whole different wing of the MCU waiting to be explored in future projects that will be taking part in.
About the importance of apex predators in our ecosystem.
That's ironic, since she helped wipe out an...
Two of the biggest details we got from the Eternals movie that perfectly set up the character for his future endeavors lie at the moment when Dane Whitman tries to tell Cersei a secret about his family, and the moment when he comes close to the Ebony Blade in the post-credit scene, which can be seen to react to him when he tries to touch it. When he eventually does, he is quickly distracted by an off-screen character asking him if he is ready. And the character we're talking about is Blade, who will be played by Mahershala Ali, who is expected to make his debut in MCU's Phase 4 as well. Introduced as a human who works as a history museum professor in London and a love interest of Cersei, Dane Whitman becomes no stranger to who Cersei is after an encounter with a deviant. For the rest of the movie, Dane is not present in the movie, which can only mean one thing. We're about to see a whole lot more from him in the near future of the MCU. and despite some rumors from Kit Harington himself of him not being confident enough of his return to the MCU after the Eternals movie, the post-credits scene is clearly setting him up for bigger things. Thus, it seems highly unlikely that his first appearance will also be his last, as there is so much more to him in the Marvel Universe to come. Judging by the fact that Dane's transformation into the Black Knight is yet to happen, and the fact that the MCU is diving even deeper into the supernatural side of things, there are some hints as to when and where we might see him next. Maybe in a much darker color as well, wielding the ebony blade, we suppose. The first and foremost option would be Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where he could make another post-credits scene appearance, one that would eventually, in turn, set up the formation of the Defenders. The voice talking to Dane when he comes close to the ebony blade is, as we said, the voice of Blade, and with that in mind, Dane's next appearance as Black Knight could likely come in the movie, as of right now titled Blade, expected to release sometime in 2023. Black Knight and Blade have a lot of adventures together in Marvel Comics, so him making an appearance in that movie would be the perfect place to start, as the MCU would right off the bat start building the connection the two characters are expected to have moving forward. Other honorable mentions would have to include Moon Knight, a TV series which might give Dane a cameo of sorts, or the Nick Fury TV series Secret Invasion, an event in which the Black Knight has already participated over the run of it in the comics. He joined the MI-13 during the crossover event and fought the Skrull forces in London. We've talked a lot about his next appearance, and it is all as part of another character's solo movie or TV series. So, will Kit Harington's character get his own MCU movie or series? To be honest, we're not sure what to think about the character, and with the fact of the MCU constantly evolving and changing some of the narratives when taking some of the stories from the Marvel Comics, it would be a safe thing to say that we will need to have more information about the character and his part to play in the MCU before we go on and make any assumptions about him. Whatever the case may be, one hint we would like to see is the fact if he's gearing up to be the leader of his own story at some point, which would eventually set the character for his own solo project somewhere beyond Phase 4 of the MCU, solely because Dane has yet to ascend into the infamous Black Knight superhero we would all like to see on the big screen soon.
Sure you're ready for that, Mr. Whitman?
On a related note, tell us down in the comments below, what are your thoughts on the character now that we've given you a little bit more insight for him? But also, which next project you think we're going to see him taking part in, and why? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.